Hey, this is James Alex from Beach Slang, and you're watching Moshcam. I sort of tapped into that, like, sort of troubadour poet sort of thing, you know, and that felt kind of cool to me to sort of, like, I don't know, and then meet, like, new people and be in, like, new places all the time just felt really reinforcing. So the guys would be out seeing, like, Swiss Alps and kind of cool things like that, and it's like, hey, take care of James, and then I'll be stuck wherever I have a little place to write. But there's something about that. I'm a pretty isolating, Bukowski said isolation is a gift, you know, and like I think I've always subscribed to that to a little bit. It's certainly when I write, but then there's that really great moment when it's like, guys, I wrote this thing and I'm really excited about it, and then we all get in a room, and then it feels like Beach Slang, you know. It was kind of this weirdo thing. I was living on the West Coast for a little bit, and it was like, I thought I always wanted to live there, West Coast of the States, and it just didn't kind of work out, and it just kind of felt like this, I don't know, when you dream up this, like, really perfect imaginary place in your head, and then that sort of falls short, you're left figuring out what happened, you know? So sort of the beginnings of that song were about that, and then, I don't know, I've like defined the songs that I've written on our first album as, like, they're 2-minute novels about me and my friends, and they matter a whole lot to me, you know? And that's what that is, right? So I start in this place where I just felt completely disconnected from what I thought was going to be heaven, right? And then I start thinking of the people who kind of pulled me up out of the gutter, sort of how we found each other, and we sort of made a pretty cool life together. And so the back half gets hopeful, you know. It's pretty true to the beginning, because, like, the demos I'll deliver are pretty sussed. Like, they'll have, like, the little dingers and the little finger drums and the harmonies and stuff. So it's just like, I'm just a real meticulous creature, I suppose, in that way. But with that said, it's not like where it's like some ironclad door closed when we get into the studio, because I want life to be in these things. And if somebody, like, tries a thing or does a thing or has a part, and I'll just be like, oh man, that's perfect, you know. And then it's like, typically the really sweet thing about that, it's why I never wanted, like, solo stuff. To me, it's just always been a weird trip. Like, I love being in a band, because it's like, then someone does a thing like that, and all of a sudden it just triggers a whole new thought process. Like, even if somebody just ranks a chord, it's like typically like, no, inside of that mistake was something really keeper and something really beautiful, and then it's like, you write like a whole bridge around it. But you would have never heard that by yourself, you know? Philadelphia has this, like, great sort of combination of, like, romance and grit to it. You know, it has this, like, really beautiful culture and history and all that stuff, and then it's got that really sort of seedy, grimy sort of toughness to it. And somewhere in that mash, you know, delivers this sort of, I think the mentality of bands there, like, blue collar, hardworking, sweated out in the basement, like, kind of no smoke and mirrors, no manufactured sort of sound. It's just honest rock and roll, you know. I got this patch, it says Teenage Feelings, from my friend Devin in Chicago once, and I had it sitting on my desk for a good bit, and then I would just take it with me on tour, right? And it's just that Teenage Feelings thing was just stuck in my head. And I got interviewed once, and somebody was like, if you had to describe Beach Slang in a line, you know, what would you say? And I was like, you sound like, and I was like, oh, loud bash of Teenage Feelings, you know? It just sort of, like, rolled off the tongue. I mean, when I write songs for this band, all I really try to do is, like, pretend I'm scoring, like, a John Hughes film in the 80s, you know? I'm just trying to write these, like, these coming-of-age sort of tales, you know? And I just think, like, that's what it'll forever be to me, you know? That sort of youthful sort of charge, man. Because it's just like, you know, whether you're 15 or, like, 75, right? You're still trying to figure out, like, what the fuck am I doing? You know what I mean? Am I doing it right? Did I do it all the way? Like, I don't know. We sort of culturally sort of say at this point you need to have it all figured out, or this thing. And I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, you have permission to keep searching, you know, sort of forever.